everyone, and welcome to Read This Now, the weekly webcast where Brad Gustafson and I share two books that we love and we think you should read. When, Brad?
Right now. I have a feeling that was my best entry yet. So let's make sure to save that in the video vault.
It's my favorite. I absolutely love it. And now I can't help but think of your son, who was the inspiration for that.
I went home last week and I showed him the beginning of the show. I'm like, check that out, buddy. How was it? And he was not as impressed as I was, but oh well. It's okay.
Well, it's his job to bring you down a peg, I'm sure, but I was super impressed, as well as our 3.5 viewers, I bet.
Right. Okay. So I got a good one, Jen. Okay. Can we just dive right into this?
Let's do it. I can't wait.
Okay. So it's so fun for me to read picture books. Well, really any books, but just to dive in and read for pleasure. I mean, and that's this book right here. So I got a picture book. And I will say I had an assumption about this book before I started it, and I was totally wrong. So it's from the makers of, I want to try to do this in a tricky, quick way, see how successful I am. Can you see that?
Yes.
Giraffes Can't Dance.
Yes.
Okay? That's the creators wrote this book too. So in my mind, I thought the cadence of the writing, I had all these ideas about the book. But they weren't true when I read it, and I was pleasantly surprised, which I didn't think could happen because I loved Giraffes Can't Dance. I love it. So what was so different, and what was the surprise, and how did this all work out? Well, the book is Free to Be Elephant Me, from the makers of, or the creators of Giraffes Can't Dance. Okay. And the difference is, there is some rhyming and stuff that's cool, but really just the story is magical. And it starts out, there's a bunch of baby elephants, and they all, customary in the elephant world is they have to appear before the mighty elephant majesty. And then they have to perform a trick that's really impressive. So these baby elephants from a young age are conditioned to try to do something incredible just to show how awesome they are in a competitive sense. And then the royalty will bequeath or assign them a name. So your elephant, elephant noisy. So if one elephant blasted their trumpet really, really loud, and everyone was startled and impressed. So here's a picture of that, which is just really cool, right?
Yeah.
So the name was Elephant Noisy, right? So you kind of get the premise, and you see different elephants going in front of the king, and then there's one elephant at the end of the line who was reticent to go in front of the king because he didn't have a special talent, or so he thought, and then so he basically kind of banished himself. He was mocked a little bit, and he was just trying to be himself, and that's why people mocked him, which is pretty sad. But anyway, he found his crew on the other side of way far away from the elephants, and kind of fell in with some other animals that appreciated who he was just for his humor, his kindness, and the traits that, I'm thinking of kids we have in our school. I'm thinking of kids who live under my roof at home, who, they may not be the champion of whatever team or contest or whatever, or they might someday, you never know. But just the fact that they're kind, or they think differently, what a gift that is. And hopefully schools are never to use the metaphor, the kings who decide who's talented, who's not, and assign identity and names because of that. So the story, it was magical, and it did have a lesson, and it had a moral, but I didn't feel like I was being thumped in the head by it. I just felt like I wanted to read it and get lost in it, and now I just want to share it with everyone, including run home and read it to my kids. And my youngest is in 5th grade, and I think they would still love this. So read this now. So good, and so different than Giraffes Can't Dance, but so good.
I love that. That makes me so happy. And I get excited too when there's multiple books by the same creators that kids can, I don't know, learn to recognize, maybe by the style of illustrations, etc., but still be surprised in a wonderful way by the content. The content keeps growing and changing with the readers. I love that. That's
Yeah, just
awesome.
a quality story. I also liked, like, side note, there's some really challenging vocab just sprinkled in, but I love those stretch words that,
Yeah.
if you're doing it for a read aloud, that's fun too, to have words to talk about every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I don't, anyway, I could go on
I
and
love
on,
that.
but good book.
Oh, that's wonderful. And per usual, our reading lives are sort of parallel because I have a picture book this week as well. And I've been thinking a lot about how picture books transcend age, in terms of the reader's age, and their ability to access the text, or as you said, some of the vocabulary. There's some picture books that kids who aren't able to decode words yet can still fall in love with, just exploring the pictures, turning the pages, or having that moment with an adult who is reading aloud to them, etc. And of course, that joy of the read aloud can go on for as long as kids are in school and beyond. I don't know anyone who doesn't love being read to. I just think that it's like a hug. It's like a great big hug between you and the person who's reading aloud, and of course the book itself. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and your book talk falls right in line. But it's made me approach picture books in kind of a new way. And I wanted to say that in reference to the picture book I'm going to share today, because I just couldn't help thinking about all the different types of readers who might respond to this book, who might find a home in it, fall in love with it. The book is called Ambitious Girl, and it is by Meena Harris and Marissa Valdez. And I just want to show off the cover because I just think it's beautiful. And I love this sort of like wave reveal. This reveal, this sort of wave behind her is sort of it's like a preview of what's going to come. And if you look inside the cover to the inside there of the jacket, that's kind of a preview too, where you just see all of these words. And I want you to notice the word that's repeated there over and over again: too, T-O-O, as in too much, as in more, or as in also, right? And this book opens with our young heroine walking down the street, and she sees someone on the TV. She can see the screen of a woman, and kids can kind of think about what that expression and the stance that the woman is holding might mean. But then you can see all of these words coming back to her: too persistent, too ambitious, too loud, too proud, too confident, etc. And can you see our little girl's face as she's watching this? Okay. And there's a transition there. You can't see her face here, but you can see mom's face, or the adult with her. And then you see the little girl's reaction. But then the woman on the screen says this: don't let anyone tell you who you are. You tell them who you are. And then the rest of the book are all these stories and examples about how these words, these messages that she heard being shared on the screen, could be turned around for her to own in a positive way. So someone applies a label that they mean in a negative way, or at least not in a positive way, and she finds a way to turn it around to be empowering to her. And I could share every single page, but I wanted to share this one here. Well, a couple of them too. Like, you can see her being surrounded by the word too and feeling very worried. But then, as she begins to learn about girls and women throughout history who were told that they were too much, or too this, or too that, she begins to understand what some of those words really mean, like what persistent means, what assertive means, what confidence means, proud, etc. And she turns them around to be something empowering and beautiful. And it got me thinking about, I wanted to show one more quick page. I love this, where she's talking in front of the crowd and this big,
Mm,
beautiful crowd of people who've gathered. But what it got me thinking about how for younger kids, the story itself, even without the words, younger kids can use the space between the words to create their own narrative. But I was thinking about like my own eighth graders and then the middle and high school kids that I was the librarian for. And I felt like this book could be such a great launch pad for conversations about messages that we see, not just in the media, but just all around about what we, girls, boys, you know, every person, about messages about what we are expected to be and how we
mm,
can take those messages and turn them into something that's empowering rather than something that's deflating.
mm.
So I just felt like this was one of those great books that sort of transcended age, and I couldn't help think about how I might use it with my own students, even though maybe high school students aren't the kinds of kids you might traditionally attach to a picture book. So it's called Ambitious Girl, and it's by Meena Harris, and it was illustrated by Marissa Valdez, and I think you should read it right
Incredible, Jen. I got to tell you, Free to Be Elephant Me would be an
now.
incredibly powerful pairing for our two books. Like
It
the
sounded like
messaging
it.
and the theme, honestly, because there's a point in the book where the Majesty or whatever names the little elephant nothing, right? Just based
Oh,
on their
yes.
expectations of what's valued or what's elephants shouldn't be, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So, gosh, this is like we didn't plan this, but I'm telling you,
No,
these would be a powerful combo, powerful 1-2 punch.
I love it. It's so serendipitous when that happens, but I love the idea of book pairings and how what a useful tool that is for educators and parents who want to think deeply about ideas with kids, even younger kids. So I love that. Oh, what a
Awesome.
great show. Thank
Yeah,
you for your
good
book
stuff.
talk today. If our 3.5 viewers want to rewatch this show or check out our archive of all the books we've shared over the years, where can they go, Brad?
Well, first grab some popcorn,
Yes.
then log on and go to the World Wide Web, bit.ly/read_this_now. And there you go. You've got like hours and hours of book talk goodness.
Yes, entertainment galore. Thank you, my friend, and thank
Uh,
you, everyone. Happy reading.